Suppose it's good afternoon, is it? Yes, good afternoon. It's funny. 3:29, which equals 5 when you round it down. And that's a perfect number for divine nuggets because it's all about little nuggets of good information. Anyways, this nugget is going to be about. Hang on just a second. Amen. Sorry about that. In any case, this nugget is about believing in yourself. But oh, hang on just a second. Grandma, that's so funny. I'm gonna have to put when I do the. I'm gonna start doing a daily vibes video. I'm gonna have to put that in. Definitely the disruptions energy, but that's okay. So what I want to talk about is about believing in yourself, and it can be something as small as quitting smoking, or starting up a new habit, starting a business, or having the relationship that you want, becoming a better parent, getting promotions, whatever the thing is that you want. And in fact, what I wanted to share is it's funny, a small chunk of a story. So, about 12 years ago, I ended up getting, okay, to preface, as an idol, I've loved Tony Robbins since I was about 11 when I first experienced a landmark education thing for kids. And it's funny because I can remember that out of like a group of like 15 of us, prepubescents, there was maybe three of us that actually really liked what we were doing. And that really, I'm really glad. I had an aunt who was into it, and she was in she did Remax real estate and stuff like that, and so it was something that she offered, and I was like, I'll try it, why not? And I really liked it. Now, about 12 years ago, I saw Tony Robbins was doing this new thing for training coaches to be strategic interventionists, and I really liked that idea. This was coaches were a thing, like life coaches, business coaches, and stuff, but it was very small niche, and it wasn't very saturated at all. And it really appealed to me, especially in the sense that a lot of it had to do with working with psychology, but there's a little more of a challenge because as a coach, legally you can't recommend things. You can, and there's definitely no prescribing, which is fine. Didn't want to get into that, but it's a particular way of doing things. And I really love personal growth and stuff. But what I really love more than anything is his style. He's actually a Pisces, which really makes me laugh. And I mean, that's not his whole personality, but as a sun sign, it's like I know a lot of people that would think about Pisces and not expect them to be among the list of like the world's most rich and famous individuals, but many of them are. And what I like too is that he's one of those that he'll tell you like I'm not a guru. In fact, I think he even did a series called I'm Not Your Guru. And he's not really. I mean, he is and he isn't. He studied others. He wanted to be successful. He wanted to have a better life for himself and his parents, or his mom. And so he studied everybody else, and what he started doing was kind of like this, like divine nuggets, but it was his own version of saying like, look at what Jim Rohn and Dale Carnegie and all these people, like look at their stories of success and look how they did it, and look at me looking, right? Look at what I am doing, that is what they did in my own way, and I am succeeding. And that's how, that's how he's done most of it. He doesn't It's been pretty rare if you really look into his work when he's done something genuinely original. But what's funny is we often get stuck in that is like, oh, we have to do something that's so original, otherwise we're imposters. I know I had that problem for a long time. And he found a way to get over that, to celebrate the successes that others had already created and just compound on those and create a blueprint, a map out of all that stuff. And so I took a risk and I called to do a coaching session. And then I found out they want like, I mean, this one was free, but they want like $500 a session for regular sessions. And I'm like, I mean, at the time, especially, I had barely gotten into manifestation and other things like that. And I'm like, I can't, there's no way I can imagine that, not with two kids and the stuff going on with my DM and all this stuff. Like, I can't imagine doing that. Um, and the coach, uh, shout out to Anthony, coach. I don't know the last name or anything. I only talked to him on the phone once, but it was really good because we kind of talked about getting into that vibration of just say yes. And I know it was a sales thing, but it really made a difference. And I was laughing because they had this CD packet for Unleash the Power Within. And they wanted 300 for it, and we were talking about it, and he wasn't forceful about it. I was like, look, I don't have a ton of money. Do you have a way that we can chunk it down? Because I really, I mean, if it's all I can get, I want to get it. I want to do this. I want to take another step forward. I want to grow. I want to glow up. And I still feel really grateful because he had set it to a level to where I was more comfortable with it, but I was still scared, and then sent it to me and ended up they gifted it to me. This whole set, that's 300, I mean it's worth more than 300, but they sent that to me. And I listened to all of it. Like I soaked it in. I absolutely loved it. There were some video sets. I mean, I listened to it in my car as a CD set, a ton of it. I really, really liked it, and it resonated with me a lot. And one of the things that I liked is that a lot of us like kind of have this ambiguous vision of success in our minds. We don't really think about it very much in detail. And part of the set in there, plus the strategic interventionism training that they did, which is just coaching, but they did it on there, was they walk you through like setting up your rocking chair vision, like when you're really old and wrinkly and you're sitting on a porch and you can't really do much for yourself anymore. What kind of life do you want to look back on, you know? And you kind of walk back from there. What do you want to see? And I wanted to pick something that was a bit of absurdity, but that was doable if I could believe in myself to do it. And so I was like, you know what? I want to be Tony Robbins, except like better. And I'm not even like, it's still better is still kind of undefined, but I just loved the idea of being able to sit there and imagine that. And so I started setting goals for myself that to be fair, it's funny, like I could believe in them very well, but all the people around me thought that it was insane and I had like lost a few extra marbles. And it was funny because what like I had really laid everything out. Like how much do I want to make? I looked at like in fact as much as how much money would I need to make in every month in order to like give my DM a certain chunk of money every month so he didn't have to work. And how much would I need so that I didn't have to do like I wanted to do like one big public speaking session a week and like two or three coaching sessions and be comfortable with that and be able to spend lots of time with my kids and my DM and just enjoying life so we didn't have to work all the time. And I rounded it to about 10 grand a month. Like I knew I could actually get away with about was it I think it was like 6,200 a month, and we were living in Seattle, and taxes were definitely going up, and thanks light rail, and things like that. But I thought, you know what, I want more than enough, more than I could need, and why not? And then I could even do charities that I wanted to do, and that felt great to me. And I could even do the math. I could set it down. It wouldn't be super hard to do. The hard thing would be getting into the vibration, which is more difficult when you have people around you that don't believe that that's possible, or they think that it would take far too much effort when really, I mean, as Abraham says, and even Tony Robbins and Eckhart Tolle will talk about, things are as easy as you believe they are or are not. And there was a day that it really made me laugh because everybody's all, this is all sales stuff. It's just nonsense. And then my mom had a friend who was getting into selling insurance, and they wanted to practice with me. Oh, hello, my one Sadri, and yes, you're welcome. They wanted to they wanted to talk about what my life goals were as a part of their practice for selling insurance, and I was like, awesome. And I'm totally in this vibe. Like my vision too was like I wanted to have coaching centers where you could come in, you could find a life coach, a business coach, a fitness coach, a spiritual coach. Like you'd had like one person who's really well practiced in each thing, and then like the center even had like it had place spaces for creativity, for art, for things like that, and a place for doing public speaking and group work and like Toastmasters stuff, things like that. I wanted, and then I wanted to have one in each major city that was like I want to say like customized to have like its own essence of the area that it was in. Right, yeah, the whole system. And I mean, this vision's still in my head. It's still there. It's still in my vortex. It's still coming down. But like that was my vision too. And I'm like thinking, see, that's perfect. Because if you kind of go towards the franchising thing, that's how you get to the level to where you don't have to do a whole lot of like one-on-one stuff. You gotta start there sometimes. But once you get up there, I mean, if I think I did the math and it was like if I had 10 of these centers in some major cities, Seattle, Chicago, New York, things like that, and they were each their own thing, I didn't even need to, like, it didn't have to be an infinitely growing thing. Like, if somebody else wanted to open one, sure, that's great. And I wouldn't even need to take that much. I really wanted to make sure it was something that was affordable too. Like, I totally understand why Tony Robbins has like $500 a month coaching things. However, I want to be able to offer the services to people that can't afford that. And yes, I understand the value that if you believe that you can afford that and that you're worth that, that you then create that. I still wanted to be able to offer it to anybody that could do it, and even have a certain amount available for those that couldn't otherwise afford it but had all of the other, they have the energy, they have the ability to manifest it, they can succeed. There's plenty of us who don't have the money to start with, but we got everything else that you need. And so when my mom's friend came to do the the thing for selling me into insurance, I had to laugh because of all this talk about, oh, you're into all this salesy stuff and things like that. And then they're sitting there trying to sell me on insurance. That, to be honest, at the time, I couldn't afford it. That's part of why I was working on getting, my vibration and my imagination into this place, into this space of what I want. So they told me, well, like, what are your retirement goals and how much do you want to make a month? I'm like, 10 grand. Like, just rolled it off, and they looked at me and they looked at my mom and they were like, no, be serious. I'm like, I am serious. 10 grand a month. That's my goal. That's what I'm working on. And they asked me more questions like, what are your career goals? I told them all of that stuff. Like, this is my plan. This is what I'm doing. And what's funny is my DM was probably the one who believed in me the most. He's seen me do some pretty incredible stuff in terms of entrepreneuring and business stuff or changing myself and things like that. And even he was skeptical, but he knew I could do it. His hard thing was the patience, because it's like, I mean, if you look at even building this business, tarot coaching, things like that on YouTube, it's been just a little over a year, and I'm starting to really see the fruits of my labor from that, between private coaching and private tarot sessions and things like that. And that continues to grow. And I already knew that through doing several businesses beforehand, that I did get to a successful level. I had not been prepared for exit strategies and things like that, but I've gotten them to that point. Like, I've even had a business in the past where I didn't even know I was making like 5 grand a month until after I had already like set it down and calculated and went, whoa, and then looked at where most of it got spent in that I wanted to pay my employees very well, or I did van booking, I did mobile mechanics and stuff, and I really wanted people to be paid fairly, and unfortunately, I didn't pay myself as fairly. But to be able to get that level of success at all is pretty incredible, and I knew it could be done. But I had a lot of people around me that are going, but right now these bills, but right now this and that, and I'm going, I get that, but if I don't believe in me, no one else is going to do it. You're not going to do it. You're sitting there telling me about how hard it is to pay a few extra $100 a month so that I can have the time to work on this business, because I know it's going to take at least a year to be able to see really good, consistent results. I know that the fastest way to get a business built is to volunteer your time, or to put in your time much more affordably than anybody else would. I know that it's going to take consistent effort. I know that I'm going to have to really believe in myself in the process. If you're feeling impatient about that and I get sucked into that, the vision won't hold, it won't manifest. The same thing is like with my family. It's like, if you're not going to believe in me, wait, yeah, I got ADHD, and in the past I've had a lot of things that did not pan out. But if you're going to look at those as reasons why I should not continue to work towards what I want and my goals and things like that, I can't come to you for support for this, because I'm looking at it in a reframe of, no, those were all learning lessons. They weren't failures. You don't fail. You either win or you learn. And once you learn, you get a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And That's kind of the vibes that I'm sensing are coming in for everybody. And this is this is an evergreen thing. It's at any point in time, but I feel like that, like right now, the the finger of fate in the sky and all is a really good time to focus on this stuff about believing in yourself, and not just believing in yourself as in like, yeah, I can take care of myself. Yeah, I can be single. Yeah, I can start a business. Like, believe that you are freaking legendary. Like, really, like, take it to such a level that you would never have taken it to before. And don't back down. I was just thinking of that song, Don't Back Down, Baby, Don't Back Down. Um, because the truth is that what you believe is true is true. I think that's another divine nugget I'll do for a different day. But it really is like, if you believe that you can be that successful, you can be. And likewise, if you believe that money is the root of all evil, and that the market is horrible, or that you can't do any of that, or you're looking around seeing that none of your friends and family have accomplished that, you're not going to do that. You're not, that's not going to happen. And that's something that my DM and I talked about a fair amount. He was always amazed and appreciative of the fact that I can jump out and do something. I can jump out and try it. Even if I fail, I do it. And yeah, I had failure to launch for quite a number of years because of how many times that I did not succeed sustainably at things. However, there's a big difference. Like, he has beautiful dreams and beautiful goals that he wants to accomplish, though he's gotten bound up in karmics, in things that family and friends have said. And no, that's too hard. No, you got to do it this way. Or no, you got to get a job, a moving job, or a Boeing job, or a union job, and don't do things that you like doing. You can't be a rock star or a business owner, or whatever stuff like that. And I don't fault him. A lot of people go for that. And if you're the only person among 10 people who believes you can do it, it's much harder, at first, to believe you really can do it. And especially if, loved ones close to you are. And that's one thing I regularly talk to him about, is like, no, you know what? You can do this. Look at this, and look at A, B, C, D through Z that you've done that people told you you couldn't do. Or look at things that maybe they didn't tell you that you couldn't do, but they were things you didn't think you could do. And I talk with my kids about that. And I talk with clients and things. I talk with lots of people about that. And it's amazing when you really realize you don't need anybody else to tell you that you are legendary to be legendary. You just have to believe it. You want to be, I got a vision in my head that's been consistent of being on the bestsellers list, both as a nonfiction and fiction. I was going to say artist, isn't that funny? Author. It's still a form of art, right? Now, I've got so many books in my to be completed section file of my laptop, that it's not even funny. And I've already authored, like, I think I did, it's either 5 or 7 ebooks on Smashwords some years ago, just to get it out of the way, to get those first few, like, burnt pancakes or burnt grilled cheese out of the way, because that's something that I learned, is a lot of times we get stuck because we want the first one to be perfect. It's not. It's gonna suck. So just do it. Get it out of the way. And I still have that vision in my head because I worked on it. I worked on doing the right NLP, the right mindset, the right stuff. So I know it's there. I don't know when it's going to come out of me. I don't know when it's going to become that hard copy book that you walk by a bookstore and you see it up there and it's this bestseller list, like 10 years running or something like that. But I know that it's there. I can imagine that it's there. And I don't need anybody else to tell me that that's going to happen or is doable or isn't doable. I know that it's possible. I know that it's in me. I know that I've already done all the other steps. And I know I don't need to rush it. I know that it will come through when it is meant to come through, and probably much sooner than I imagine, and it'll be even more fun and funny than I ever pictured it being. That's all I need to know. And I've learned that through years of trial and error and trying to force myself to do things, or trying to argue out people that didn't believe as well as I did. Like, whatever it is that you want. You want to be a famous musician, you got to get to that place where you see yourself as legendary. You see yourself, you overcome your fear of being on stages, you overcome your overwhelm with crowds, you've written an absolutely wonderful song, and you've got multiple albums that people actually absolutely love, and you've got a schedule going on, and you know that you've got a relationship with somebody who's totally secure with it. They can go with you or stay home, and everything is good. Like, you, all the things are there. It's really one of those. They ask the question, if all money equaled the same thing, and you could have a partner who was happy with no matter what you did, and you had all the time in the world, what would you do? What would you do? And so you really got to imagine that you have all the cooperative components to do what you want to do, to have what you want to have, to be who you want to be. And so that's the divine nugget for today, is really, examine what are the things that you would be doing, that you want to be doing, that you're not doing because you don't believe in it yet, because you don't believe how legendary you are, and get to that space where you can really say that to yourself. And yeah, it's, you're not so conceited as to believe that, like, you're the, like, what is it, you don't have a god complex, but it's, let it be strong enough that you can say it, and even though there's a smile in it, that you believe that's true and legendary, right? And then just let yourself start working on it. In the next nugget, I'll talk a little bit more about the getting started of any sort of goal that you have, but for right now, just let yourself dip your toes in, then put your whole foot in, and put your ankle in, then put both ankles in, and work towards it. And it's not going to be immediate, especially if you've had a lot of poor self esteem and self worth issues, especially if you've had a lot of people telling you that your fantastic idea is far too absurd. Get to the place where you're embracing those absurdities. And if somebody's telling you that's not doable, or that's not safe, or, like, I mean, say that you want to ride a motorcycle and you want to do sturges and things like that. People are going, that's not safe. You can't be on two wheels, or it's not affordable, or you ain't got the time, you got other bills to pay, things like that. Love them and say, fuck off, in a kind way. Like, that's what I want to do. And yeah, it may not make money, but it makes me happy. It makes my heart warm, and I like doing it. And I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to have this really sweet bike. And I'm going to, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to be relationships. It could be a passion project. You want a yacht? You got to believe that you can have that, and you can have the cooperative components that go with it, and you don't have to get it in the way that people think. Like, you don't necessarily have to slave away for 12 years and putting away money to get it. What if somebody gives you a yacht, and maybe it needs a little bit of fixing up work, but there you go. Then you only got to look, where can you keep it, where are the mooring fees, and what will it cost you to get into it. There's so many different ways that you can manifest what you want. It's like absurd how many ways that you can get there, and half the time through divine timing, which can seem like an accident or good luck, and it's really not. It's that you got into a space where you believed you could do something amazing, where you believed that you could be legendary. All right, I'm going to leave this divine nugget here. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thanks for adding your vibes to the tribe by hitting that like button, and sharing is also a wonderful form of caring. I'll see you in the next video.